Welcome to Jana's Kitchen. It is fall this week, and all I could think about for supper today was soup. And so I'm going to show you how I make my bacon potato soup. It's a family favorite. I have made it since I was a young woman. And so here we go. I have on the stove, I've got 1 pound of bacon, and I cut it into like 1-inch pieces, and I've got it browning on the stove right now. And so you already know how to brown bacon, I'm sure. And then I took, these are Yukon Gold potatoes, and I washed about 3 pounds of them. I've already got most of them cubed here, because I know you didn't have to have me show you how to do that, but for the beginning cook, I'm going to show you. I scrubbed the potatoes under running cold water with a potato brush to get any dirt off of them. Even if you can't see them, it's a good idea to wash them. And then cut your potato into whatever is a bite-sized piece for you, okay? And so I've got these, and I kept the skin on them. If you only have russet potatoes, like a baking potato, I would peel them. But for red potatoes, yellow potatoes, you don't have to. I do cut out any eyes that are on them, and that is like it's sprouting. I do not cook that. And so then I just cut these into bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna put them in there. I always just kind of double check over my potatoes, make sure there's no bad spots on them. And you know, I learned a long time ago that one thing about potatoes, like this has already been scrubbed. That's just part of the potato. That's not dirt. One thing I learned a long time ago was that if you eat the skin of the potato with the potato, that it helps you to use the carbs of that potato better. It digests easier for you and helps you to utilize the carbs. So if you eat just the inside of a potato, the carbs are going to affect you more than if you eat the skin too. That's an old wives' tale, cooking theory. Okay, so I am finishing this now. There. We're going to come right back, and I'm going to show you, we're going to put these in the pan and show you what to do next. Okay, while our soup is getting at the stage it is behind me, I was going to show you real quick how to make my potato soup dumplings. This is my grandmother and my mother's recipe. It's just been in the family. I'm a senior citizen, so you know it's been a while. My grandmother would have been, I think, 112 this year she would have been, but she made potato soup and dumplings. So we're gonna, for each egg, so no matter how much, you're gonna see that you can make this however big you want, but for the batch I'm making today, I'm gonna put in 6 eggs. But if you don't need that much, if you're cooking for 1 or 2 people, then, and you don't eat leftovers, then you can do whatever works for you. Okay, but we're gonna have a formula here. 1 more, so I'm going to do 6 eggs. All right. And for each egg, I'm going to break each egg just because it makes it easier to stir. And so for each egg, I'm going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon, okay? And so for 3 eggs, there we go. There's 1. And 1/2 teaspoons of salt. And then, oopsie, sorry about that. And then for each egg that you put in, you're going to use 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put this off to the side because every egg's a little different. So that's 6, okay? I'm going to check my bacon back here. Hear the sizzle sizzle of bacon? Boy, it smells so good too. All right, and so then for each egg, I'm going to put in about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So see, a 1/4 teaspoon is not very much for each egg, okay? That's 1½ teaspoons. I'm getting down to the end here. And always check the date on your baking powder. And you don't have to put baking powder in. If you like a real chewy dumpling, you don't have to put any in at all, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and just stir this up. Start to get it almost there. No, I already put it, I've got it. And then I've got some butter. Oh, here it is. I knew I put it somewhere. And then I'm going to put in, this is room temperature, it's super soft. You can melt it too. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of butter. You do not have to put that in either, but I do. So see, this is getting mixed up. It's a real stiff dough. I might not need that other ½ cup. Like I said, all the eggs, you know, are different, large, extra large. And I just used whatever I had in my refrigerator here. I think that's about right, don't you, Erin? Huh? You think a little more flour? You think so? Boy, you can hear my washer going in the background here. There. See how stiff that is? And that's exactly what we want. It's almost a spatzel, a German spatzel dumpling. Okay, I'm going to set this off to the side. And when our soup is just about done, we're going to add those in. Thank you. Okay, I've got my bacon all cooked. I left the grease in it. Please leave the grease in, because that's what's going to be like your sauce, your gravy, okay? And I'm going to stir up and put that coating of grease all over the bacon grease. Does that not just sound good already? Bacon grease on your potatoes. And now I'm going to add a little bit of water. And I don't want to cover my potatoes, because we're going to add milk and cream to this. So now I'm going to put my lid on. And I'm going to let those cook. Turn up my fire again here. Look at the splatter. That bacon splattered right when we were coming on the camera and popped all over my stove. And so we're going to let those potatoes come to a boil, and it won't take very long. And every potato is different depending on the size you cook them. I would start checking around 15 minutes and just to fork tender. And we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to check on our potatoes. And it's been about 10 minutes. And you can tell the fork is just not quite going into them yet. And so we don't want to add our rest of our ingredients yet. But what I am going to do is pardon? Oh, okay. There is Knorr chicken bouillon cubes. And I'm going to add 4 of those in to this. You can put them in when you add the potatoes too. And I'm going to squeeze them. These are real soft. Unlike some bouillon cubes, which are like bricks, these are very soft and pliable. I think they're flavorful. They have parsley in them and they're delicious. They're my favorites, but you use yours. I'm going to stir it down into the broth here in a minute. If you don't want to use that many, you don't have to. But this is a pretty big batch. And notice I don't have the potatoes covered all the way. But they're going to cook down because we're going to be adding half and half, or milk, or cream, or a combination. And that's going to help salt those potatoes. And we're going to be back. I'm going to cover this again, and we're going to be back and test those in about 5-6 minutes. All right, we're going to test our potatoes. It's been about 5 minutes. See, they're fork tender. They're not all the way quite done, but that's okay. Some of them are, the smaller ones. They're not quite there yet, but that's okay because we're going to add and simmer them some more. Put my lid down there. And so now I'm going to add, you can use milk. I've got some half and half here. That's 4 cups. Like I said, this is 3 pounds of potatoes, so go accordingly. Or use milk. You can use canned milk. You can use half and half. You can use some heavy whipping cream, okay? Whatever you like. This is a very rich soup. And then I've got 4 cups of chicken stock. I'm not going to add quite all of it right now. Some of the potatoes soak up more than others. And these are golds, and so they don't, it's like baking potatoes, the russets, they soak up a lot of the liquid out of your soup. And so we are going to add, this is option. This is an option for you. I've got some cayenne pepper, to taste. We like ours just a little bit, when you eat it, that it like goes in the back of your throat. But that is an option. That is not something that my mom put in. We put it in. Aaron, I can never get the bottom of this pepper grinder. Can you get the bottom of that off? She's my strength. My husband or Aaron are always my helpers. I'm going to add some black pepper. Once again, this is an option. There we go. And then you can see how rich that is. Plus, remember, it's got the bacon grease in it and the bacon. And we're going to just bring this so that it's a simmer. And then I'm going to taste it to see if I need to add anything else. And this is one of the other things that I add. You know, I use this a lot, nature seasoning, if it needs it. Not always needing it, because remember, we put in the Knorr bouillon cubes, the chicken bouillon cubes, and those have salt in them. So we're going to let this come to just a low simmer, not a boil, a low simmer. You don't want to boil milk. Just bring it to a low simmer, and then we're going to add our dumplings. All right, here we are back. As you can see, tiny bubbles are starting to form because it is now hot. And it is starting to, see, there we are, starting to simmer right around the edges there. And we don't want to boil it. I'm going to turn it down just a tad. And so what I do is I take 2 spoons and I dip them in the liquid. I dip them in the liquid, and then I pull up some dough. And they're going to get about twice as big as whatever size that you put onto your spoon. This is a rustic soup. And so whatever size you put in there, it's going to get twice as big as that. So if you don't like huge dumplings, and these are not like soft bread-like dumplings, these are firm dumplings. Because some dumplings are, my mom used to make stew dumplings with Bisquick for our vegetable rutabaga soup, and it was much softer, like almost a biscuit-like dough. And these are firm, they're very good, almost like a noodle. A noodle?
Pour full of noodles.
I'll turn it down just a little bit because we don't really want it to boil. We want it to just be a strong simmer. And then just keep dipping your spoons in if it starts to stick. So I'm going to finish putting these in, and it's going to simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And it's ready to serve. And Aaron was telling me too, remember this for those cold tailgates. When you're tailgating, this is so good. You can have this all made the day before, put it in the refrigerator, and then transport it and plug your crock pot in and warm it up. You can put your soup dumplings in like I am now and do it the day before. Pardon? Oh yeah, and bring along some extra cream, milk, half and half too, because sometimes, you know, the potatoes absorb a little bit. You can bring another box of that chicken stock and maybe a can of carnation milk or some half and half or heavy cream or all of it. Whatever you choose to put in yours. And just take some extra along, and that way in case it needs to be thinned out a little bit, you'll have something to do that with since you're making it the day before. Because even here at home, you know, like we're going to eat it tonight and we're going to definitely be having it tomorrow again. It's going to be needing probably a little bit of milk or broth or something, whatever. Whoever is warming it up might even just add a little water to it, but I don't want to dilute the flavor. That's what's so good. So I'm going to finish doing this and we'll be back and serve up some soup. Okay, we're back, and guess what? The bacon potato soup is done. And look at you can see how the dumplings popped up as they were doubled in size. You saw the size that I put them in at. And so that's it. We've got our potatoes. You can see the Yukon Gold potatoes in there. And you can put as much broth as you want, as much potatoes as you want. You can pick through there. Get those dumplings. Get that bacon. It is a very hearty soup, and it will fill your family's tummies with nice warm food on these cool fall evenings. And I hope that you find some bread like I did, where we can, I'm going to use my spoon here. Look at this bread that I found. Serve a nice baguette with your homemade bread, whatever you want with yours. And that is homemade bacon dumpling soup. Come back and see us next time. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, and please share.